Hello everyone, welcome back to another Bannerlord video, and today I'm going to be going over which troops in the infantry class, shield infantry class, are the best per faction. So we'll start with the Varyak, which I consider to be the best infantry in the game at the moment. As you can see, stats are quite good: 100 hit points, 55 armor, standard 80 movement speed, and army size of 16, which is also standard. So the armor is quite good, the weapon is pretty effective: 91 swing speed, 86 swing damage, and it's got a good length and handling on it. The second best infantry is the Valendian Sergeant, which is slightly less armor. It's got a nice two-handed sword perk. It has the melee expert perk, and it also has the option to take an axe or a mace, which is very useful if you're fighting armored troops. Standard movement speed, standard army size. The sword is quite effective against light troops, and if you need to have something more suitable for armor, you can take the mace, or if you're dealing with rabble, you can take the axe or any kind of numbers. The axe is good for cutting down light troops. Third is the Battanian Oathsworn, which again has pretty much the same stats as the Valendian Sergeant. The only difference here is that their sword I don't think is as good, and they don't have the same melee expert, or they do. So it's quite a close contest between these two troops, but I would say the Valendian Sergeant, just because of the sword and the shield, is more maneuverable. Number 4 is the Legionary. The Legionary is actually, despite looking like a tank, they have less armor than the other troops that we looked at, but they do get an extra army soldier. Their weapons are alright. I mean, the length on the axe isn't anything special, and the sword really isn't that great in my experience. They do have this padded armor, which, in fact, if you weren't taking it, you would only have 39 armor. So that's kind of low. But for number 5, we have the Kuzate Spear Infantry. Now this is, obviously, the armor is a lot lower, but they get an extra guy. They do have the ability to have a sword or a mace, but at the expense of armor. They have the ability to have throwing spears, which could be quite useful, and they are able to fight cavalry off quite effectively. Unfortunately, they're just a really bad armor, and their weapons are not that great, so they will almost always lose in a 1 versus 1, or even just a mob fight. They're not very good. Number 6 is the Guard. Now these troops, they don't even have a sword and shield unless you No, they just don't have a shield at all. They can have a two-handed sword, which is cool, and it does damage, but despite having a speed advantage over the other infantry, their armor is so light that they can be easily picked off by archers, and their troop count is lower than the average 16. So they are also easy targets for cavalry, and even if they did get in a fight with one of the other units, it's not likely that they would win because their armor is so light and they could get destroyed by a player with a two-handed weapon quite quickly. So yeah, that is my ranking of all of the shield infantry, with the exception of the guard that doesn't have a shield. Please share this video with your friends, and remember to like and subscribe.